on Fargo CW.
They weren't completely cooperative. Obviously, they knew we were here this entire time, but ultimately they were persuaded and negotiated to come out.
No shots were fired and no one was hurt during a South Moorhead standoff that could have been much more dangerous. Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. 3 men and 2 women have been arrested inside a Moorhead home after hours of negotiations with SWAT members. People living in that neighborhood of the 1900 block of 6th Street South are being allowed back into their homes after being evacuated for hours. Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter Nicole Johnson was there all day and has the latest.
He said, we need to get you out of here, you need to leave, and we have the SWAT team coming, and that's all I know.
Sharon Roller was trying to put up her Halloween decorations when she was asked to leave.
He came to the door and said, we need to get you out of here, but we'd like to use your house as a staging area if possible. So he came in to look through my house to see where he might have a good view of what was going on next door.
Next door, the SWAT team, Moorhead officers, Fargo officers, even backup from as far as Grand Forks, spent hours trying to get out a number of people who barricaded themselves inside.
Our street crimes unit, as well as the U.S. Marshals Fugitive High Plains Task Force, were attempting to do surveillance at this residence for someone that has a Department of Corrections warrant, felony warrant, a couple individuals. So at this time we have 3 males in custody and 2 females.
It's unclear if all 5 people will face charges. Police haven't released details yet, but say the situation had potential to be much more dangerous, especially for neighbors like Roller.
Yeah, it's a little bit frightening to know that what's been more frightening, though, is living next to this element. There have been a number of times when I've been concerned about what might be going on over there. So I'm grateful to know that this is probably going to be the end of whatever is happening there.
In Moorhead, Nicole Johnson, Valley News Live.
Police say Halloween was a bad time for the standoff to happen. A lot of kids were out trick-or-treating with their parents. So coming up after weather, hear more about how neighbors in that area plan to redo trick-or-treating for the kids who lost out. Also, it's a story you haven't seen in years. You'll meet the people who had a hand in saving a life of 30 years ago, and the man who's making the most of it. But first, it was a nice gusty night for trick-or-treaters. Robert, as kiddos are heading home after their trick-or-treating, what can we expect? I mean, tomorrow's already November 1st. Is it chilly, warm?
Yeah, the Northern Valley, it felt like November. It was rather chilly up there with some fog, a little bit of drizzle, some mist, some showers moving in there. The Southern Valley, we warmed up close to 70.
Holy smokes.
Here in Fargo. Yeah, not too bad at all. Taking a look at temperatures right now across the region, we've got 41 in Langdon, 48 in the Grand Forks area, 50 over in the Bemidji area, also 50 in Detroit Lakes and Wahpeton, 58 Sisseton. It's 54 right now here in the Fargo-Moorhead area. Winds still kind of gusty out there, but they're continuing to slowly subside, and we'll see those winds continue to die down as we head through the overnight hours. Tomorrow, a little bit breezy, but nothing like what we saw today. Still some fog across the Northern Valley. Visibility is as low as 2 miles in Roseau and Cavalier, 3 miles in Langdon. A lot of cloud cover out there, and that will continue as we head through the evening hours and overnight tonight. And as we head through the day tomorrow, we'll start off with some clouds, and then those clouds will get on out of here. There is the rain shower activity. That's going to slide across the Northern Valley as we head through the overnight hours tonight, but looks like it'll be out of here as we head through the day tomorrow. Zooming on out to the Northern Plains, all the activity right along the Canadian border. We got those rain showers that continue to slide off towards the east. The southern 2/3 of the valley, it looks like we're going to stay dry as we head through the overnight hours. Off towards the west and the higher elevations of northern Idaho and western Montana, seeing some showers of snow. Also seeing some snow in the higher elevations of northern California, and the lower elevations, some locally heavy rain. Other than that, most of the country seeing some quiet weather for us. As we head through the overnight hours, here comes the shower activity, and it'll again continue to slide off towards the east along the northern portions of the valley. As we get into tomorrow morning, cloud cover for most of us. The far southern valley looks like we'll start off with sunshine there, but for the rest of us, we'll start off with some cloudiness. But watch the clouds slowly disappear as we head through the afternoon hours and on into the evening, becoming mostly clear by the end of the day. And again, those winds much lighter than we saw today. More clouds start to move in as we head through Tuesday night and on into Wednesday. Here in Fargo, we'll start off the day with mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures in the low 40s by lunchtime. We're going to warm it on up just a bit into the lower 50s. And by the end of the day, Some partly sunny skies and temperatures in the upper 50s. Picture of the day, a perfect picture. Nice Halloween sunrise courtesy of Melody. Thanks so much for sending that in. Going to use that as the background of our 7-day forecast. And again, decent weather Tuesday, pretty nice day on Wednesday. In fact, rest of the week as we head into the weekend, even warmer Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, getting into the low 60s. And a reminder, turn those clocks back 1 hour, gain an extra hour of sleep Saturday night and on into Sunday. And then I wore a bow tie at 5:30, and I wanted to wear something even scarier. I don't even know if you can see that. Does it look like anybody else in the building?
Hutch Johnson peeking over on the tie.
I thought it was pretty scary, so that's why
I wish we got a good close-up shot of that. It's a little creepy. I saw one here at the weather wall.
Yeah.
It was just like,
it frames them up perfectly.
yeah, it does. How'd you do that?
Exactly.
Also like the
next to my heart.
yeah, in your frames too.
Yeah, you like that?
Looking sporty and
I look
fun.
smarter.
More smart.
Yeah.
Anyways, Moorhead residents had an interesting issue to deal with this Halloween. How to trick or treat in a neighborhood where a standoff was happening. So while many families were out in the valley enjoying that, well, families in the area surrounding the standoff weren't allowed home until 8 p.m. Valley News Team's Giovanna Simich tells us how some still managed to have fun despite a dangerous situation.
For some, the standoff in Moorhead ruined the Halloween spirit.
My grandchildren were here, but that's about it. Nobody else.
Trick-or-treaters have come to Lois Krabinoff's Moorhead home since 1972.
I usually make up a little baggie full of stuff for the neighbors, and I'll catch them tomorrow.
Krabinoff says the standoff made Halloween less fun for kids living in the area.
Around this neighborhood anyway, so it's kind of sad.
Others didn't let it ruin their fun.
Wasn't really worried about safety or shots fired or anything like that.
Anthony and his daughter had a plan to trick-or-treat further away from the Moorhead home.
We just stay away from those blocks until they're done with their business. It didn't sound like there was any threat beyond just getting in there and apprehending the individual that they were worried about.
They're all thankful police did a great job protecting everyone.
They're taking care of it, keeping everybody out here safe, and make a safe environment for trick-or-treating here.
I didn't feel threatened at all because there was so many policemen and SWAT men there that take an army to get at me.
In Moorhead, Giovanna Simich, Valley News Live.
And as for that Moorhead neighborhood, residents say police have not seen any clowns roaming around. A woman who was protesting at the Dakota Access Pipeline site is now charged with attempted murder of an officer. Investigators say 37-year-old Red Fawn Thallis fired 3 shots at officers and then wouldn't give up her gun. It happened while law enforcement were trying to remove protesters from private land owned by Energy Transfer Partners on Thursday. The charge carries the potential for 20 years in jail and or around a $20,000 fine. These temporary holding cells are being used by the Morton County Sheriff's Department to accommodate the protesters that are arrested during the Dakota Access Pipeline protests. Spokesman Rob Keller says the 6 cells are at least 10 feet by 14 feet. He says the chain link fences are only used for mass arrest situations. Keller says people stay here until they are processed into their facility or transferred to another jail. They've been inspected and approved by the North Dakota Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. Some of the protesters say the holding cells are comparable to a dog kennel and are dehumanizing.
Many times over, I shouldn't have been here. And I knew that at a very early age. And so since then, I've just kind of pushed myself to learn as much as possible.
If you're looking for a reason to get out of bed tomorrow morning, stick around. You'll meet people who had a hand in serving a life 30 years ago and the man who's making the most out of it. His name is Andrew De La Pena. He turned 30 years old this year. He was born in California and has significant ties to North Dakota. At the tender age of 5 months, Andrew was in desperate need of a heart transplant. Word came from Fargo through the Red Cross that a 4-month-old had died from crib death. His heart had been resuscitated. It opened the door for a life-saving organ donation for Andrew. The challenge was getting the heart to California within hours. It was a few days before Christmas. The Learjet parked at Hector in Fargo that was supposed to take the heart west wouldn't start. That's when a desperate early morning call was made to the governor, George Sinner. Valley News Team's Mike Morkins picks up this story.
It was such a natural thing for us.
16 minutes after Governor Sinner was notified, a call went out to the North Dakota Air National Guard base in Fargo.
here's a boy that needs a heart.
An F-4 fighter jet with the North Dakota Air Guard was scrambled.
It was get the job done.
Brigadier General Bob Becklund, who was a first lieutenant at the time and on duty, would be the pilot.
A time-sensitive organ that had already been delayed because of the efforts to start the airplane here that night. So just get it to San Francisco as quick as possible.
An F-4 is a two-seater fighter jet. The only storage compartment is underneath, and it's not climate controlled. So the tiny life-saving heart was packed in ice and placed in a picnic cooler. It would ride in the seat behind Becklund.
That night, I was going fast. I didn't go supersonic.
Yeah.
Because it was middle of the night, but as fast as I could go transonic.
Becklund touched down in California. He handed the cooler over to a Stanford University ambulance crew. The transplant was done successfully, despite missing the 4-hour window.
Well, here we are 30 years later, still talking about it.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, I can't think of the right adjective here to say to that, but
cool.
Yeah, it was cool. I'm glad to have been a part of it.
I'm, of course, always eternally grateful to them.
After his death-defying start, Andrew De La Pena's challenges in life would continue. He survived a couple of bouts of cancer, including non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He was even in New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina and got out of there okay.
Andrew, how you feeling?
I'm good. I'm here in Amsterdam about to cook dinner. Been living here for about a year and a half.
Right now, Andrew's living in the Netherlands, where he just finished his master's. He told me he's working part-time and trying to finance a PhD. He's made the most out of his 30 years of life, having been a teacher, visited 30-plus countries. He even speaks 5 languages. He says he's always trying to find a way to serve people.
I try to live a good life and spread good energy and happiness with everyone.
This guy is carrying it on himself. He's doing the things that you'd hope he would be doing. And so that's pretty good reward.
And that's the kind of pledge that brings a smile to the faces of those whose quick response saved Andrew's life.
It wasn't like it was a trophy either. It was just like somebody wanted me to help. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the way we carried on.
The highlight of my career has been able to meet Andrew and watch him become a spectacular person.
Both the Brigadier General and the former governor acknowledged the many men and women from the Air Guard, the governor's staff, and hospitals in Fargo and Stanford University who had a hand in this life-saving transplant. One more thing. The next time you're at the Fargo Air Museum, look for the F-4 that's on display. On one side of the cockpit, there are names. You'll find First Lieutenant Bob Becklund near the first seat, and on the back seat, Andrew De La Pena and Michael McCann. Michael was the 4-month-old boy whose heart continues to beat in Andrew's body. Christine?
All right. Incredible story. Thank you so much, Mike. Stay with us. Still ahead tonight, can the early voting lead you to eventually change your mind on which candidate you vote for? We'll tell you what the experts are saying next.